Have you ever wished you could turn back time, to fix a mistake, to spend one more moment with someone you love, or to do the things you kept postponing? Today's story is about a boy, a broken watch, and a lesson that changed his life forever. This is The Broken Watch. In a small, peaceful village lived a 16-year-old boy named Jacob. He was known for being intelligent, kind-hearted, and full of potential. However, Jacob had one habit that held him back from becoming his best self. Whenever there was something important to do, he would always say, "I'll do it later." Homework could wait until later. Helping his parents around the house could wait until later. Learning new skills could wait until later. Even spending quality time with his grandfather could wait until later. Deep down, Jacob believed he had all the time in the world. His grandfather, Henry, was the wisest man in the village. Every evening, he would sit quietly on the wooden porch of his home, holding an old pocket watch in his hands. The watch was beautiful, yet there was something unusual about it. It never ticked. It never moved. One afternoon, curiosity finally got the better of Jacob. Looking at the silent watch, he asked his grandfather why he continued carrying something that no longer worked. A gentle smile appeared on Henry's face. He looked at the watch for a moment before telling Jacob that one day it would teach him a lesson more valuable than gold itself. Jacob couldn't help but laugh. To him, it sounded like one of his grandfather's mysterious old sayings. Jacob dismissed the comment and thought his grandfather was simply joking. Months passed, and life in the village continued as usual. Then, on a cold winter morning, tragedy struck. Grandfather Henry suddenly became seriously ill. As his condition worsened, the entire family gathered around his bedside, hoping and praying for his recovery. Knowing that his time was running short, Henry asked Jacob to come closer. With weak, trembling hands, he reached into his pocket and carefully placed the old pocket watch into Jacob's palm. His eyes were filled with love and wisdom as he looked at his grandson one last time. In a soft, fragile voice, he said, "Take care of this watch, and remember what I always told you." Confused, Jacob looked at the watch and then back at his grandfather, wanting to understand what he meant. But before Henry could explain any further, he gently closed his eyes for the final time. Jacob felt as though a part of his heart had been taken away. The man who had guided him, encouraged him, and loved him unconditionally was gone. In the days that followed, Jacob struggled to accept the loss. He often sat alone, holding the old pocket watch in his hands, replaying his grandfather's final words over and over in his mind. The more he thought about it, the more mysterious the broken watch seemed. Why had his grandfather treasured it for so many years, and what was the message he had wanted Jacob to remember? Little did Jacob know, the answer would soon change his life forever. A few weeks later, Jacob's curiosity about the old watch continued to grow. His grandfather had insisted that it was the most valuable thing he owned. Yet it seemed like nothing more than a broken pocket watch. One afternoon, Jacob decided to examine it more closely. Perhaps there was a hidden compartment or some kind of secret inside. He carefully opened the back cover of the watch. At first, all he could see were rusty gears, worn-out springs, and old metal parts that no longer worked. It looked exactly like what he had always believed it to be, a useless, broken watch. But then something caught his eye. Tucked deep inside the watch was a tiny folded piece of paper. Jacob's heart began to race. With trembling fingers, he gently pulled out the paper and unfolded it. The handwriting was instantly familiar. It belonged to his grandfather. The note read, The watch is broken because time cannot be stored. Jacob frowned in confusion. What did that mean? He continued reading. Every second that passes is gone forever. Money can be earned again. Lost possessions can be replaced. But lost time never returns. The words struck him in a way he had never experienced before. Jacob sat quietly, staring at the note in silence. For the first time in his life, he truly stopped and thought about the value of time. The next day, Jacob traveled to the town and visited an old clockmaker's shop. The small workshop was filled with ticking clocks of every shape and size. Carrying his grandfather's pocket watch carefully in his hands, Jacob approached the old man and asked if it could be repaired. The clockmaker took the watch and examined it closely. After a few moments, a gentle smile appeared on his face. To Jacob's surprise, the old man explained that the watch could certainly be fixed. Relieved yet curious, Jacob asked how that was possible. The clockmaker looked at him thoughtfully and said that repairing the watch would not change the message it carried. Confused, Jacob asked what message he meant. The old man pointed toward the pocket watch and explained that every clock in the world eventually stops. Some continue ticking for years, while others last for decades. But every clock reaches its final tick. Just like clocks, every human life also has a limited number of moments. A chill ran through Jacob as he listened. The clockmaker continued speaking. He explained that Jacob's grandfather had understood a truth that many people never learn. People work hard to protect their money, their houses, and their valuable possessions. They guard their phones and belongings with great care. Yet, despite protecting so many things, they often waste the one thing that is truly priceless: time. The old clockmaker nodded, knowing that Jacob was finally beginning to understand the lesson his grandfather had wanted him to learn. That night, Jacob couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about all the time he had wasted, the books he never read, the dreams he never started, and the conversations he never had. Most of all, he regretted the time he could have spent with his grandfather. Those moments were gone forever, and no amount of regret could bring them back. For the first time, Jacob truly understood the value of time. The next morning, everything changed. He woke up early, helped his parents, studied with focus, and started learning the skills he had always postponed. Whenever he felt like delaying something, he remembered the broken watch and the lesson it had taught him. From that day on, Jacob stopped waiting for later and started making the most of every moment. Years passed, and Jacob grew into a successful entrepreneur and respected mentor. People admired his achievements and often asked him what the secret behind his success was. Whenever they expected him to point to his awards, certificates, or accomplishments, Jacob would instead take out the old pocket watch his grandfather had given him years ago. One day, a young student noticed the worn-out watch and asked why he still kept it. Jacob looked at the watch and smiled, the same gentle smile his grandfather once had. He explained that the watch reminded him that every single day was a precious gift. Most people believed they had plenty of time ahead of them, but no one truly knew how much time remained. The student listened carefully, staring thoughtfully at the old watch. Jacob then shared the lesson that had guided his entire life. The difference between a dream fulfilled and a regret carried for years often came down to how a person chose to use their time. One evening, Jacob sat quietly on the porch of his home, watching the golden sunset spread across the sky. In his hand rested the old pocket watch his grandfather had given him years ago. The watch still didn't tick, its hands still didn't move. Yet, its message had become clearer and more powerful than ever before. As Jacob looked toward the horizon, A gentle smile appeared on his face. Softly, he whispered, "Thank you, Grandpa." At that moment, he finally understood the true purpose of the watch. It had never been meant to tell time. It had been meant to teach the value of time. And that lesson changed Jacob's life forever. Time is life's most valuable treasure. You can earn more money. You can buy new possessions. You can rebuild what you've lost. But you can never get back a single second that has passed. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Use the time you have today. Because one day, today will become a memory. And memories are all that remain. Time is not money. Time is life.